Okay, everybody, welcome back to the channel. You know, when I scheduled this show, I had forgotten it was Easter Sunday. That's how far out of the loop I am. Rebecca emailed me. She's like, "Are we doing a show Sunday?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think so." And then I realized, oh, Easter Sunday. But then I thought, well, why not do a show on Easter Sunday, right? So I kept the scheduled show. That's what you guys are here to tune into today. We have lots to cover. We've got to stay ahead of the curve with all this stuff because information is coming out very rapidly. Now, when you come to this channel, this is about the spiritual aspects of what's going on in the news. I'm not here to make the claim that everything we read or see on the news is real or true, but it is part of the predictive programming to convince everyone that is watching the news about an agenda. So that's what we look at here. I'm not trying to say that any of this is 100% true or real. So apparently the war is not very popular, or people are tuning into the quote-unquote official news sources. I do know that YouTube has conveniently forced a format change, at least through my desktop. I see absolutely a format change in how you view content. They've nearly eliminated subscriptions from your feed. So this is no longer YouTube and what you sign up to watch on YouTube, your subscription feed. It's now about what they want to feed you. So you get a very small section at the top, and you get 4 or 5 videos of the people you've subscribed to, and then the rest of it is forced content. Now, the reason why we need to understand what is spiritually going on here with Iran and the United States and the petrodollar and the yuan and all these things is because we're now firmly entrenched in the end times. Either that or the controllers want us to believe that we are. They are forcing biblical prophecy or trying to. And in Iran, we have literally bit off more than we can chew. And it's intentional. Trump is literally breaking all the toys before he leaves the birthday party. That's what's really going on here. And it will likely make way for this Revelation prophecy. Revelation 16, the rise of the East, which people believe is China and possibly Russia. Let's start reading this in verse 12. And the 6th angel poured out his vial upon the great Euphrates river, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So this is about an invasion, the kings of the east coming across the Euphrates river. So Russia and China coming across the Euphrates. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. Now we've gone over scenarios about these frogs and unclean spirits, the Trump Keck frog, and many of these tech oligarchs that sound like frogs when they speak. Bill Gates, Peter Thiel sounds like a frog when he speaks. The reptile, well, which is what his name is, Scrambled. Essentially, the frog voice is the unclean spirit inside of them, and that apparently is what these people sound like. So this is a clue out of the Bible, isn't it? We know that the false prophet literally has to be Trump promising a golden age. And when you look at the definition of a false prophet, it is a prophet that tells you that judgment is not coming. This is the definition in the Bible. When you look up false prophets, they say prosperity and riches. This is exactly what Trump is saying. There is no judgment, he says. Let's keep reading. For they are the spirits of devils working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth. So there it says right there, the kings of the earth will be possessed, to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked, and they see his shame. And they gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. So, Armageddon. Just as Trump told the commanders to tell the servicemen before this battle that is shaping up, he told them this was fulfilling biblical prophecy and that this was all about Armageddon. We also exposed the movie Armageddon Time, in which Donald Trump appeared in Corona Park, Q University, and Trump by name was named in that movie. Are you guys starting to see what's happening here? I hope you do. We also took the word Armageddon. Let's spell it out. And when you scramble this, it says MAGA Red Dawn. That is the anagram for Armageddon. Red Dawn was all about an invasion. What was it? Russia and China came in on parachutes to American shores. Is this the future of America? A lot of things seem to line up, don't they? Now, this isn't to scare you. This is so that you understand not to put your faith in the golden age Trump is telling you about. Gold and silver, stocks, the promise of America's prosperity. If you're doing that now, all of those efforts will disappear. And you will be very upset because you will have stored up all of your profits and money into a sinking ship. This will undoubtedly start to erode your faith. You will believe God has abandoned you because maybe you didn't listen to the signs, the writing on the wall. So what is going on with the war? Let's get into this. It's not going as planned. Multiple U.S. planes within a 24-hour period were shot down. This is confirmed. Our own media is admitting this. Now, as of today, all of the pilots have been rescued, so we're told. And believe it or not, one or both of the pilots were helped by the local villagers. Let me say that again. One or more of the local pilots that fell to the ground after they killed 160 schoolgirls were still helped by the villagers. They were found hiding in a house of one of the villagers. Now would we do this? And if an Iranian plane was we knew killed 160 of our school children intentionally, if they were shot down over rural Arkansas, would we shelter that pilot until they could be rescued? We absolutely would not. They'd probably be torn into a million different pieces. But this is what they did. Now, I took a screenshot of this because the AI is self-learning. So if you do a quick search, the AI has to give you a result pretty quickly. Otherwise, it'll be suspicious, right? If it's sitting there thinking and thinking and thinking. And sometimes it gives you a result that it doesn't like. So it will change the result. But this was the first search that I got. Now, why do I use the AI? Some people don't understand how this works. We use the AI so that the AI condemns itself. That's why we use the AI. Because if I were just to go to, let's say, DuckDuckGo, which all of the search engines are run by AI, if you didn't know that either. I've had people say, I'm unsubscribing because you use AI. All the search engines are run by AI. So, what are we never supposed to do a search? They're all owned and run by AI. And I hate that I have to keep repeating that, but literally there are people that go, that channel uses AI searches, and then they unsubscribe because they're not thinking through this. You use the AI to condemn itself. If I were to go to another site, someone could just simply say, oh, that search doesn't apply to me because you're using an irreputable search site. They would just say something different. So it's the same as when Jesus went into the synagogues. It wasn't a requirement to go into the synagogues. Jesus had to go into the synagogues because that's where everyone was debating the word. He went there to expose the scribes and Pharisees in their own place of worship. So, we are in the world, but not of it. You use the tools of the world that we live in to expose the world. This is the same thing. This literally exposes them. Reports indicate that at least one, and possibly both of the airmen were aided by locals while attempting to evade capture before U.S. forces secured them. So, now let's see if the AI changed the search result. Let's refresh this so we can see this in real time. Oh, look at this. They even removed it. Let's click on AI mode. Shelter in the house. See how they did that? Wow, they removed the part that they were assisted by the villagers. That's why I screenshot it, and I'm going to start doing this from now on. Okay, well, it kind of says it here. Reports indicate that they were rescued and had assistance from local villagers. Now, let's take a look at these aircraft that were shot down. Now, this is outdated because even more aircraft have been shot down, and we're going to talk about why that's happening because the mainstream media is not going to tell you this. So, F-15 fighter jet. This was supposed to be unkillable, unbreakable. Nothing could take down an F-15 or an F-16 fighter. We're supposed to have the greatest planes in the world. An F-16 fighter jet was hit and crashed in the Persian Gulf. That's 2 planes. Damage inflicted on 2 HH-60W Jolly helicopters. Downing of an A-10 aircraft. Downing of a Wing Loon 2 drone in Shiraz. Downing of 3 MQ-9 Reaper drones. We're talking billions of dollars already in equipment that has been shot down. Downing of a Hermes drone. Downing of an F-16 Fighting Falcon in Iraq, transmitting emergency code 7700. 2 Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker aircraft, transmitted emergency code 7700. Destruction of 2 cruise missiles and several loitering suicide drones. This is an older list. F-16CJ, Black Hawk helicopter, A-10, F-15. So this is the truth. The war is not going as well as planned, and Trump lied. Trump and Hegseth lied. They said that we had complete air superiority, loitering over Iran, blowing up anything we wanted. And if this was the message to our military, that would mean they were given a false sense of security, weren't they? Wow. Now they have, again, this is an outdated article. They did find all of the pilots. None of them were killed, which is good. But there were even talks of Black Hawk Down. Fortunately, that did not devolve into that. But what else is going on? How was Iran able to do this? Well, they were able to do this because they have infrared technology. They do not use the typical radar. Our entire fleet of aircraft were designed to essentially escape radar detection. Stealth through radar avoidance. But Iran uses infrared. They look at heat signatures. And even though that's kind of an outdated technology, it works in this case. This is how they're able to see and shoot down our airplanes. So here we are. Not good, you guys. Now, the people in Israel are finally starting to wake up. This is unbelievable. There are mass protests in Israel. Again, this is not something you're going to see on mainstream media. They do not want you to know that all of these people are in the streets of Israel saying, stop this war. Big mistake. Get rid of Bibi Netanyahu and look at what freedom looks like. Look at what freedom looks like in Israel. Wow. Little bit too late, isn't it? These should have been the protests when Gaza was being leveled. But instead, now that there are buildings being leveled in Israel, now people are in the streets. Their homes are being destroyed, their cars, their vehicles, their livelihoods, their businesses, jobs. Iran is now taking out U.S. businesses of the tech oligarchs, Amazon, all these factories and things and places of business in the Middle East. This is going to affect these people's jobs. You're not going to have anywhere to go back to work to. So now people are in the streets. And this is what freedom looks like. Oh, you can't protest the war? Get out of here. Thrown on the ground. Look at how they're treating these people. Now, of course, this is a clip. Let me give fair balance here. Who knows? Maybe this lady threw something in this guy's face. I don't know. But people are upset. They're scared. They were not protected. They were given a false sense of security. And then we have Trump. Oh, we're going to make a golden dome, just like Israel's Iron Dome. Well, if this is any indication of how it would work, then what are we doing? Are we going to spend billions and billions of more dollars for our golden dome? When we know it won't work, it's just a big money pit. This is what's going on, but it's too late. Unless we as Americans come together and also demand that this stops now. But we won't, because we are so blinded by the right-left paradigm. There are still many, many people who watch Fox News and just believe whatever Trump's going to tell them to believe. Is going to believe what the Republicans tell them to believe. They'll pass Trump's new bill, $1.5 trillion. You guys, we have Russian subs now entering the Strait of Hormuz. This is not going away. We're going to get into all that today. Russian naval presence near the Strait of Hormuz, with allegations of Russian submarine deployment in the region to support Iranian interests. This is now moving into World War III territory. These maneuvers occur amidst escalating tensions in the critical energy choke point. And I told you guys there's no way that Russia and China are going to allow us to take out Iran's oil production and allow Iran to then take out all of the oil production of all of the Arab countries, because that directly affects China's oil supply. They are not going to let that happen. And China will work with Russia to stop this. They are protecting literally their survival as well. It's pretty straightforward. Russia and China are not going to allow Trump to escalate into the territory of destroying oil infrastructure, because that affects their livelihood as well. Now, why does it affect Russia's livelihood if Russia already makes its own gas and oil? Because Russia has an ally with China, and Russia is strong with China. But without China, Russia is not strong. And Russia would have to give China their oil, and that would weaken Russia. So, think of the world as blocks of power. China, Russia has a block of power that controls that part of the hemisphere. Europe has its block. We have our block here. Trump is making a move on their territory. You know, it's funny because we were talking about Boots the cat, right? And he's in a territory dispute. I mean, I hate to make that kind of example, but it's interesting how The stuff happening out here at the Honey Milk Ranch seems to overlay world events. It's almost supernatural, isn't it? When you see nature playing out what's happening in world events. Trump is making a move on the energy sector of the world. We're not talking just energy. We're talking about fertilizer, growing food. We're talking about starvation and hyperinflation. Now, Iran isn't just randomly blowing up infrastructure. They're only doing it in response to Trump and Israel. Trump is doing this. And they're documenting every time they have to or feel like they're forced to blow up infrastructure. First, they say, okay, our infrastructure was attacked. We are now going to attack your infrastructure. So it's intentional. Trump is literally breaking all the toys at the birthday party. That's what he's doing. And we're sitting here watching it happen. And there are too many sleep people to even figure this out. Now, let's keep going. Meanwhile, look at what happening to the veterans. Did you know that 10,000 veterans lost their homes to foreclosure since May of last year when the Trump administration shut down a key safety net in the VA home loan program? Yes, this is true. And another 90,000 veterans are heading toward foreclosure. Trump doesn't care about the veterans. Now, if you're like, oh, that's an NPR ad, well, you're still stuck in the paradigm. These are facts. It doesn't matter what the source is of the facts. Go look up the source yourself. Don't get caught in the paradigm. This is why we can never come together. Because people are stuck in the paradigm and they dismiss news as something that doesn't apply to them. The VA home loan program. What else is going on? Well, this is Trump's new spending bill. Let's get into the details of that. Massive increase in defense spending. They're saying it's 40 to 50% increase in spending, up to $1.5 trillion. While Trump says we can't afford social services and health care anymore. Wait a minute, what happened? We started a war, and now we're saying that we can't afford all the things that Trump promised? Let's read this one. White House is seeking roughly $1.5 trillion for defense as part of a fiscal 2027 budget request, proposal that would boost military spending to its highest point in modern history as the Trump administration wages its war with Iran. The blueprint released Friday, a largely symbolic reflection of the president's priorities, would increase the government's defense spending by more than 40% compared to last year. It aims to bolster munitions and build out the U.S. naval fleet, while also beginning construction on President Trump's Golden Dome. So there you go, the Golden Dome. If the Iron Dome didn't work, why would we think the Golden Dome would work? It's just another money pit like NASA. It would also provide hefty raises of between 5 and 7% for all military personnel to help with recruitment and retention. Well, what's the use in giving them raises 5 to 7% if you just canceled their VA home loan benefit? So they're just robbing Peter to pay Paul. Of the $445 billion that the administration wants to add to the defense budget, White House is proposing that $350 billion of it be passed as part of a forthcoming legislation that Republicans are planning to pass using a maneuver that requires only a majority vote in the Senate and therefore would not need Democratic support. Wow. So, what else is going on? Deep cuts to woke programs. Now, they call these woke programs, and some of them probably are, but a lot of them are not. People depend on these things, especially amidst the budget that we're dealing, or not the budget, but the economy that we're dealing with raising gas prices, rising food prices. People need some of these benefits. The budget proposal, by contract, seeks to slash non-defense spending by 10%, a $73 billion cut that would primarily affect housing, social services, healthcare, and other domestic programs. that the administration has derided as woke, a word that is mentioned 34 times in the 92-page document. Among the safety net programs that would be eliminated are $4 billion low-income home energy assistance program. So if you were getting a break on your electric bill, that's gone now. This is affecting some of you who come to this channel. It's starting to get real, you guys. And the $775 million Community Services Block Grant, I don't know what that is, which aims to reduce poverty and promote self-sufficiency. Now, understand that the $73 billion in cuts, we've already burned through that in the first 4 weeks of this war. We have lost about that much in ordnance, military aircraft, 13 bases that have been bombed to oblivion in the Persian Gulf, gone, and everything else. We've burned through about $73 billion already. So what Trump is saying is he'd rather go start a war with a country that was no threat to us than give you a break on your electric bill because you're only making $15,000 a year or something. Unbelievable. Woke or not, the proposal for the Energy Department includes cutting and repurposing billions of dollars from former President Joe Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law. The budget would cancel $15 billion of DOE funding from that bill and repurpose over $4.5 billion. It would also eliminate over $1 billion for climate and clean energy research. Now, I agree with this. We don't need climate and clean energy. I don't believe that we are contributing to global warming. I think that that is something that our planet is just doing by itself. But so I agree with cutting those things, but not the rest of this stuff. Trump's budget proposal, cutting the Environmental Protection Agency's funding in half, eliminating a wide array of environmental programs. That would include its Superfund program. Okay, so you get the gist of what's happening. People are not happy about this, but it's probably going to get pushed through anyway. What's clear to me now, more than ever, is that anybody who's still supporting Trump is doing so solely based on ego, pride, and fear. And pride of being wrong about all this. Trump has reneged on literally 90% of his promises. He's doing the exact opposite of what he was voted in to do. And now we are in dangerous territory. We are now witnessing the implosion of America as we know it. Now, what else is going on? Well, it appears as though the kings of the earth are gathering near the Euphrates River. Now, if the Euphrates River dries up, allowing China and Russia to gather together for the great battle of Armageddon, I'm going to fall out of my chair. But hey, stranger things have happened, haven't they? Stranger things have happened. Now, I have a zinger for you guys today as we start to approach the end of the show. The zinger is that Iran's IRGC is in the Epstein files. What? Here it is right here. Anthony Pompliano emails Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein. This was in 2020. He literally outs himself as an IRGC informant. IRGC, of course, being Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Listen to this, and then we'll get into who this Anthony Pompliano guy is. He says, Mark, he's talking to Mark Epstein, I have no doubt that you are a partner in your brother's case, and you should go to prison. You know you cannot escape from me. You know that I can determine your crime. I do not want to bother you. Looking for my money. Give me 10 grand so I can not text you again. Mark, I am an IRGC informant. I told you before. I got my master's degree from a military university affiliated with IRGC. Suffice it to say that you know Trump had sex with a girl under the age of 18 on your brother's island. Trump has assassinated an IRGC commander. They hate Trump. If I tell them they can expose Trump through you, then it's not just a matter of hacking information. Even your life will be in danger. I can send you the membership card in the IRGC in the secret Telegram chat to see. Whoa. Now, this was intercepted by the FBI, it appears, and forwarded around. But this is crazy. Right? This is insane. Now, who is this guy? Well, this is Anthony Pompliano. I think this is the same guy. I wonder what happened to him. They say entrepreneur, investor, and lifelong learner. Podcaster. Now, did you guys hear this story? I just randomly found this the other day. Let's see if he's in the news. Bitcoin company. Oh, I guess he has a $750 million Bitcoin company. Whoa, and the Epstein files. Now, what else is going on, you guys? Let me check in with you. Then we'll get into gas shortages. There are now gas shortages in America. And also in Europe, this is happening. The pumps are going dry in the United States of America. We are right back to the 1970 gas crisis. I don't know if this is going to escalate from here, but there are pumps that are going dry. I'm going to show you that in a minute. But somebody asked me a really honest question. They said, Casey, how do you know for a fact that lockdowns are coming to America? When we produce our own oil, there shouldn't be a problem, should it? Well, first off, as we discussed last week, oil is a publicly traded commodity. In other words, the price is set on the world market. This is why the gas prices have increased. And in fact, Iran is making a killing off of the increased cost per barrel of oil because they're still selling their oil. They're making a killing. The price of a barrel of oil has doubled. Now, we don't know what the future holds for oil and if it will continue to be a public traded commodity with the price set by OPEC. We don't know if that's going to continue to be the case because obviously the world stage is changing, isn't it? But for now, this is why. So how can I confidently say lockdowns are coming? Well, it will be a self-lockdown. What am I talking about? Well, are you going to go to the lake on a Friday afternoon, a 4-hour drive, knowing that it's going to cost you several $100s to fill up your tank instead of $80? Probably not. Are you going to get on an airplane and pay $1,500 to fly from, let's say, Texas to California to go see your family for the holidays? Probably not. Are you going, because your food and everything else will have gone up in cost because everything that's shipped with diesel fuel, Amazon, everything else is going to be double in price. You're not going to have the money. This will be a self-lockdown because people aren't going to be able to afford to go anywhere when gas and food prices spike. This will be the lockdown. Uber drivers, think about all the people that depend on fuel. They're going to go broke. Delivery drivers. As it sits now, the margins were so tight for Uber drivers, which is the main way people seem to drive around now. Most people just get Ubers, especially if you don't own a vehicle. The margins were so tight. In other words, you got to put gas in the car to be an Uber driver. Well, some people only made $100 a day. You double their gas costs, now they make nothing. They're driving for free. Then they've got to get their car fixed when it breaks. Who's going to keep driving for free? It's going to get to the point where Uber drivers just quit driving because they're going to be paying money to keep their job. You don't understand how delicate our economy is. Everything depends on fuel. How about vacations? How about cruise ship prices? Everything is going to go up. it will be a self-lockdown. It already is. Now, I looked this up because I wasn't sure, but apparently gas pumps are running dry in America. Gas stations are experiencing localized dry pumps and shortages driven by panic buying as prices surge toward $4 per gallon, fueled by the conflict in Iran. While supply is tight due to geopolitical tensions, high demand is causing stations to drain faster than they can be restocked. Now understand, we're also entering spring and then shortly thereafter summer, when gas prices already are slated to go up. We're approaching $10 a gallon. Again, this isn't to fear you. This is to prepare you for the shock, because you heard it here first. You'll be prepared to understand and accommodate the situation instead of freaking out when it actually happens. Now, in Europe, this is going down to a greater degree because they're more directly affected by supply that is being interrupted right now by a war. Rural locations in England are going dry. This is rural England. Okay, that's going to be the first pin to fall. So let's see, 20% of the world's oil tracers are talking about the war. Let's see, over the weekend, sporadic reports of closed pumps at some petrol stations, forecourts in Northern Ireland. People are making a run on the fuel because they see that the pumps are closed, which is causing more panic. People are showing up with containers to fill up in anticipation of all this, which is making the problem worse. Wow. So here we are, you guys. Here we are now. Got a couple more stories for you guys. This is crazy. So the TSA shared passenger data with ICE, which is now helping the TSA at the airports. What this has amounted to is that ICE is setting traps. So in other words, a person who maybe their immigration status isn't up to snuff, let's say their green card expired and they had no way of, re-upping their green card. I know people personally that are in this situation. They've been in the country for 30, 40 years, but somewhere along the line, their green card expired. Well, guess what? If how ICE handled things in Minnesota is any indication of what they're capable of doing, and what I mean by that is that there were mostly American citizens were arrested and detained and required to show proof of their citizenship. Those are the statistics. It was like 3-1 Americans were arrested who looked like they might not be from our country. And then they were told they had to provide proof, and then they were let go. That's a fact. This is what happened in Minnesota. Well, if that's any indication, then imagine what's happening at the airports right now. Because the TSA just gave over all of the data to ICE, and they are intercepting people at the airport who they believe are here illegally, and they are essentially deporting them. And now this all begs the question, was this whole thing a setup? The defunding of TSA, ICE at all the airports, what better Trojan horse to allow ICE at the airports for the sole purpose of going after even more people? This has to be what they were up to. Our government is so shady sometimes. What are they doing? They did it right before Easter when they know a lot of people are traveling. It's one of the number one holidays for like Catholics and things like that. People who might be kind of in this gray area of citizenship, right? They knew this, and this whole thing was a setup because they are now going through and arresting a bunch of people at the airports. Let's read this. The deportation of a Guatemalan mother and daughter who were detained before boarding a flight raises new questions about how the Trump administration is using government databases for immigration enforcement. U.S. Transportation Security Administration reportedly notified Immigration and Customs Enforcement that Angelina Lopez Jimenez and her 9-year-old daughter, both of whom had final removal orders, had an upcoming March 22nd domestic flight. There's 322, Skull and Bones, right? From San Francisco International Airport. That night, plainclothes ICE officers detained them at the California airport, seen in viral videos circulating on social media. Immigration rights groups say the detention mark a new phase in President Trump's mass deportation efforts, which is relying in part on an array of government data to identify undocumented people it deems deportable. Critics worry the federal government is building a surveillance system that knows too much about everyday people. Yes, and this is what it is. Now, some of you are probably wondering, Casey, why are you against this? Well, I'm not against the deportation of people who are here illegally. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about are, number one, the tactics. Number two, how all of this is essentially a training course for future targeting of American citizens. What I also don't like is that American citizens are caught in the crossfire, and the way that ICE is handling a situation, arresting people now and asking questions later. American rights are being trampled through the process of all of this happening. That's what I have a problem with. I have no problem if someone's here illegally to intercept them at an airport and deport them. That's not the problem. It's the tactics. It's American rights being, scooped up into all this. Okay. It's how there's no, also this is all about quotas. So even if there's no due process. So in other words, they're not flushing this out and finding out exactly how or if a person is actually illegal. They're just arresting and deporting and asking questions later. And undoubtedly, some people are incorrectly deported. That's the problem I have with this. If it was done a different way, where there was like a judge in a court and they said, let's look at this person's situation, then that would be different. And people were deported, more honestly than I think that. But here's the problem. They want numbers. They've got quotas and are doing this illegally. They're breaking all kinds of laws and rules. This is why judges are blocking parts of Trump's efforts because of the way they are doing it. There's no compassion in it. There's nothing. Look at this. Unbelievable. Let's see if this plays here. Wow.
Leave her alone! What the hell are you doing?
I hope you're so fucking proud of yourselves, you fucking assholes. You're on video now.
Unbelievable. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Now I'm going to end the show with this. Matt Gaetz claims the military once briefed him on alien breeding program involving humans when he was in office. Wow, let's read this one. Let me check in with you guys and we'll read this one. Wow. Now, what are you guys' thoughts on the deportation? Do you share my feelings about this? Let's do a poll. And then, because we do need to protect our borders and we do need to stop illegal immigration. It's just the way it's happening is, in my opinion, completely wrong. Let's see. Start a poll. Let's see how we can word this. Even if you believe in deportation, do you agree with the method and or, let's see, long-term agenda? Okay, that's probably a good question there. Start the poll. Okay. Let's get into this Matt Gaetz, and I'll let that poll ride. Let's see here. President Trump initial pick to become U.S. Attorney General Matt Gaetz has claimed that he was briefed on a secret alien breeding program while in office. Gaetz, a former representative, said he was told that alien-human hybrids are being created to enable government officials to communicate with beings from other worlds. What the heck? Speaking on the Benny Show with prominent right-wing influencer Benny Johnson yesterday, the ex-lawmaker revealed that he received information in his office in Florida in a non-classified setting. I had someone come and brief me who was in military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs, where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication, Gaetz said. An actual uniformed member of the United States Army briefed me on that. Whoa. According to Gaetz, who incidentally did not represent the Jupiter community during his time in Congress, members of his staff were present at the meeting with the senior enlisted service member. Gaetz went on to claim that humans involved in the military program had been abducted from war zones and caravans of migrants. What? So they go into a place of chaos where nobody's going to miss people, and they're abducting humans and then breeding them with aliens. This is what Gaetz is saying. According to Gaetz, he was told that there were 6 to 12 facilities involved in the scheme. However, he conceded he did not verify the whistleblower's claim. The as yet unnamed service member told Gaetz that he wanted members of Congress to appear at the facilities so that the alleged contents could not be moved. Wow, that is insane. So as yet to be seen, now Trump, of course, has promised to release the classified information regarding aliens. But again, most people thought, oh, that was probably just a smokescreen to get us off the Epstein files. So this all has yet to be seen. No, again, Snowball, I don't trust any of these people. I'm just reporting on what they're programming other people to believe, okay? News is newsworthy simply because it is being broadcast to everyone else to make us believe that. Of course, I don't believe that, yes or no. But this is what the people are being told. So we're trying to figure out what effect that's having on people. Of course, they are probably going to disclose the fake alien invasion, and most people will believe it. And so we need to report on that. All right, I'm back in the chat. So most people do not agree with the long-term game of Trump and ICE, nor the tactics being used. We'll go ahead and end this poll. Thanks for chiming in, you guys. All right, I'm back in the chat for a bit. Okay. Or maybe you guys were talking about something else. So my apologies, Snowball, if you were having your own discussion about something else that's unrelated to what I was talking about. There are 88 votes. That's funny. Phalians. Why are you amplifying this? What do you mean amplifying what? Diana was killed for Epstein, says Garrett. As in the days of Noah, fallen angels breeding. Yes. All right. Yeah, please thumbs up the video if you haven't already. As I said, YouTube has redesigned the format. They keep doing this. And every time they do this, it essentially erodes all of the hard work that channels have done to build their subscribership by ignoring who people subscribe to. So that's the problem with YouTube now. So every time this happens, we see our numbers get cut in half over and over again. So we have to push the algorithms to get the word out. Getz and the Luna lady in Congress being used to promote the ETs. That's what I think is happening here. They've been breeding for years, reported in 2017. Amen. I'm going to spend the day enjoying my day reading my Bible and talking to my Father. That's a good idea, Mark Man. But at least you have the truth about what's going on in the world so that you're not deceived by the propaganda and everything else going on. The truth shall set you free. I wonder if the Artemis crew is going to be saved by the aliens. Yeah, it's interesting. There aren't a lot of, images being released, right? You would think there would be 5 billion photos of our return trip to the moon, right? You'd think they'd be streaming this 24/7. Of course they're not. You get a couple pictures here and there, very controlled. Mike Guyver says, Casey, do you think Erica Kirk is the woman in I Pet Goat? Yes, we covered that. We did several shows on the girl in the classroom being Erica Kirk. We did some side-by-sides. We showed you a picture of her at the Antonio orphanage in Constantia, where she's standing in front of 12 children in a photo, and she's in the middle, just like in I Pet Goat 2 in the scene where the girl is standing in the middle of 12 children. The classroom is the orphanage. We decoded all of that. So you got to go back on the channel and look at that. Yeah, I don't think we've been to the moon either. Okay. Yes, Pam's interim replacement, Todd Blanche. And of course, he says, let's move on from the Epstein files. Really? There's no proof. If we had proof, we would indict people. So they're trying to cover this up. Paul says, I went to the moon. I'd believe you over NASA. Yes, Peter Thiel and the military intelligence are running the alien psyop. I am the moon, says John. Yeah, here we are with, the most advanced camera technology in the history of mankind, right? And we still can't show stars around the moon. You guys, they have all kinds of filters and things you can use to show the stars in the sky. Okay? Please show us the stars. You guys even have cameras that can show stars in the sky, right? But yet, we spend, $25 million to develop the toilet? Call for an Uprising did a really good video on Toilet Gate and NASA and just the hypocrisy of it all. And they literally said they had spent $23 million to develop a toilet. And then now there's all these potty jokes about the toilets of Artemis. And how the toilet broke and all this. It's hilarious, actually. I was laughing. But here we are with toilet technology, and we can't even make a camera that captures the stars. Now, why won't they capture the stars? I'll tell you right now why they won't capture the stars. Because stars are like a fingerprint. It is a pattern that is literally not reproducible if you're trying to fake it. So therefore, they're not going to show us the stars because they would be showing us the fingerprint of their own deception. Now, why won't they return to the moon? Well, they won't return to the site of where they allegedly landed because it would have to look exactly the same as it did when they landed the first time, right? Unless they try to say, oh, the original site of the moon landing was blown up by a freaking meteor hit it. So it's no longer there. It's changed because of being in space. They'll make up some story, but they can't reproduce the set exactly the way it was. And they know there's going to be mistakes. They know there's going to be a rock out of place. And someone's going to say, hey, that rock doesn't match up with the other photos you gave us from the 1960s. This is why they won't go back or say they went back. It's all just nonsense. So there's my NASA rant for the day. How do Americans feel about what their government is doing? Well, we all know, but they're going to say the polls say something completely different than American sentiment. We live in the age of the technocracy. They can say whatever they want. And unfortunately, that's a form of mind control. So if you keep telling people that the polls say that we want to go to Iran and we want to finish the job, and if you keep bombarding people with fake polls, then people unfortunately start to believe it and agree with the sentiment. That's the problem with the technocracy. This is why we should have risen against it years and years ago. Because it's mind control, technological mind control through messaging. So, it's funny, this whole toilet thing, back to the toilets, because we just covered the golden toilet that was put in front of the White House, remember? Or the National Mall, anyway, Washington Monument in the National Mall. And so it's all about the toilets. And we were talking about this. Remember this? Remember Back to the Future and how Doc Brown discovered time travel on the toilet? And we decoded that, didn't we? And we said, how is that possible? He discovered time travel on the 5th of November. And we figured it out. We cracked the code, didn't we? Because we realized that the 5th of November was the last possible date of the festival of Samhain in the witch's calendar, when the Pleiades are highest in the sky. And the portal opens for demon possession. Portals are spirals. Unclean spirits. That's really what the toilet and time travel being, discovered on the 5th of November meant. It's the flushing of the toilet. Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, it's all connected. It's the spiral poop going down the drain. The unclean spirits. Wow. All right. What else is going on? All right. Fartimus. Good one. Good one, Hetty. Fartimus. Emmett Brown, 888 Time Traveler, 888 Donald J. Trump. Drain the swamp. Yes, the swamp, another form of the toilet, right? Corona Park, Flushing Meadows is a giant swamp. It's a wormhole, exactly. It's a spiral portal. Remember the 5th of November. Have I seen the Lego movie, says Christy. No, I have not. Oh, you're talking about the propaganda movies that the Iranians have dropped? Yes, I have seen those. They are funny and they expose everything. The Epstein files, everything. Yeah, I have seen those. If you didn't know, Iran is dropping these Lego movies exposing the Epstein class here in America and everything else. Yes, I've seen Drewski doing Erica. Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about that a couple of shows ago. Yeah, Erica Kirk forgives a person that she claims shot her husband in the first 24 hours after he did it, but she can't forgive comedy jokes, and she's like gonna go after this Drewski guy for doing comedy, even though he didn't even name her specifically in the skit. He was just joking around. So is she going to sue everyone that makes fun of her? Is she going to sue all of us? Is she going to sue, what is it? All of the different people that make jokes about this? That's not America. Yeah, I'm not gonna pull those up now just because I don't know about copyright and all that. I have to check all this stuff first before I air it live. Okay. TP USA. Yeah, everything's a potty joke. TP, toilet paper. So, turning point. I mean, you could even say like that's like the spiral, right? The turning, the swirling in the toilet. I mean, everything's a potty joke. It seems like, if you have spiritual eyes to see these things. The turd twins, Apulo and Fartimus. Nice one. Okay. Oh, the Lego movie is blatant disclosure. I've not seen the Lego movie. I've just seen Iran's Lego videos. Artemis's wormwood. The imbibed waters, the fallen star. Ooh. Okay, the poisonous waters. That's like the swamp. Good one. Wormwood. I only believe the Bible. Same. TPUSA, money going to false churches. They're always trolling us. No toilet paper in heaven. Okay. Erica's got those snake eyes. Erica's a Rothschild. All right, you guys, I'm going to pop off here. Thanks for showing up. I wasn't expecting such a large crowd on Easter Sunday, but you guys are hungry for the truth, and I appreciate you being here. I got to figure out what we're going to do for tomorrow. Not quite sure yet, but I'm on it. I love each and every one of you. Enjoy time with your family if you have it. And, you know, what they want is us to get in fights and political debates. Try not to do that on a day like this, because people are not just, they're just not going to accept it. Okay. We're at a point now where we just have to lead by example. And when people ask us, hey, how is it that you knew this was going to happen? A prime example was COVID, right? People are now finally starting to come to terms with this. Now, how you handle it can mean everything. It can mean life and death for a person, right? But people are starting to wake up. The last thing we want to do is say, I told you so. What we want to do is accept them with open arms, answer any questions they might have, and gently remind them that you knew this was going to happen. That's how you can win people to the truth. That's how you do it. But you don't win people to the truth by being angry at them because they didn't listen to you. I'm starting to learn that myself. And so let's do a one last poll while you guys are still on here. Okay, let's do this poll. This is going to be a good poll. Start a poll. Did somebody you know who was in denial about the V, we're just going to call it the V. Did somebody you know who was in denial about the V finally wake up to what you told them? That's a good poll. Okay, I'm going to guess 90% of you. That's going to be my guess. Let's start the poll, and then we'll end the show after this. I'm going to guess 90% of you. And this should encourage you, you guys. This should encourage you. 75, 50. Oh, okay. Not as high as I thought. Oh, 60. Okay. All right. Looks like it's going to settle in and right around about 60%. Wow. So that's still really high. That means a lot of people woke up. Now, they could have woke up for many reasons. Maybe they got sick, or somebody they loved got sick. Or, you know, obviously, all of this is being disclosed now, isn't it? It's mainstream news that the V was not what they told us it was, and that people were hurt by it. So, looks like about 70% of you. Yeah, some are not going to let go. Their ego won't let them admit it. But it's encouraging to see that like 70% do know someone. Now that doesn't mean that everyone repented of it, but at least some of you know at least one person. So that's a good sign. Yeah, many people just died. They just passed away. So, all right, let's end the poll. Looks like about 70%. All right, you guys, I love you, and hang in there. We're going to get through this. Have a great rest of your day. Much love.